there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video. Welcome to episode 75 of Ask Bossk's Bounty. This is, of course, the weekly series, drops every Sunday, where you ask me questions in the comment section below, and I do my very best to answer them each week. So if you do have a question for next week's episode and you want to be featured, be sure to leave the question in the comment section below, and hopefully you will be featured next week. Loads of great questions again to go through this week, but I did just want to update you on a couple of things before we get on to the first question. Now, for those of you that have watched the video, on Monday, Easter Monday, I made a video where I went for a walk with my family on a lovely spring day in a forest, and unfortunately we came across an illegal Ewok rave. An illegal rave. It was absolute carnage, and unfortunately the Rozzers did turn up. Ewoks were getting their collars felt all over the place, and unfortunately Romba is still in a police cell. He got caught with some Smarties, shall we say. He was handing them out, and as you can see, poor old Romba, he's still there. So yeah, justice for Romba, let's get him out. Now, of course, that video was just a bit of a laugh. It was tongue-in-cheek, but some people just do not see the funny side of things, and basically it got quite a few thumbs down. So there's a lot of joyless people out in the world, it seems, but thank you to everyone that did watch it and enjoyed it and left a comment. I mean, as I said, it was just a laugh, and you know, come on man, brighten up a little bit. As I'm sure you are aware, Hasbro have released a poll, or a vote from the vault they're calling it, where you can vote on a figure to be released or re-released next year, and you can vote between Weequay, Starkiller, Ahsoka, the Tank Driver and the Old Republic Trooper. Now, I'm firmly putting myself in the Weequay camp. That is who I'm going to be voting for. That is who I'm going to be campaigning for. Hashtag Team Weequay. Let's make it a bit of fun. Everyone's got their own opinion of what they want, but let me just give you some reasons why I think Weequay should be re-released. In the last couple of years, we have had the barge and the skiff and a few of the other skiff guards. Weequay on the secondary market is hugely expensive, so therefore people that do not have this guy on card are going to want him. I have him on card, so for me that isn't the priority. What is the priority is that I do not have this figure loose, and this is the last remaining figure that I need to complete one of the skiffs. So there is that reason. There are also quite a few other reasons which could help potentially with the health of the line in itself. And I'm going to quote John Miko from the Vintage Collection Facebook group about why Weequay should win the vote. So basically, since the Vintage Collection has returned, only 14% have been background characters, which is pretty poor. Alien stroke droid characters are down 122% in the Vintage Collection 2.0 versus the Vintage Collection 1.0. So that's over 100% down. With the line being saturated with troopers and core characters, we need more diversity to represent the world, which is something I completely agree with. Only 29% of the Vintage Collection as a whole is aliens and droids. And this is one is the most important for me. It completes the skiff essentially, and it then opens up the possibility. It sends a message to Hasbro that says, you know, we like these background characters, we like the alien characters, and maybe they'll make some new characters like Velkan Tazeri and the other skiff guards. Maybe they'll make Window Weequay. These are the reasons that I am firmly behind Weequay getting a re-release. Don't get me wrong, I would prefer it if they just released all of them. For example, I do not have Ahsoka on the Clone Wars card. The figure is pretty terrible, but I don't have that card back in my collection. It's a big hole, and she's very, very expensive. In some cases, I should be voting for Ahsoka, but I just can't get past Weequay for all the reasons that I've just mentioned. So come on everybody, Team Weequay, hashtag Team Weequay. One last thing is that I will be attending the Hasbro Q&A on Tuesday, which is awesome. It's the first time I've ever been invited to that, so it's great that I'm going to be on that. I get to ask some questions. I will be recording the whole thing on Zoom, and I will be putting it on my channel on the Tuesday night, hopefully. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified when that video drops, and you'll be able to see exactly what the Hasbro team have to say. And with all that being said, if you do happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to drop a like down below. It really does help the channel. And let's get on to the first question. Purple Yoda says, I may have said this before, but thank you for all you've done during lockdown. I believe you have reignited many people's passion for all things Star Wars, especially the Vintage Collection. Thank you, mate. I do appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say. His question is, you are in fully charge of the vintage collection. What 3 things would you do today to stamp your mark on the line? All right then, so the first 3 things that I would do is I would increase the budget for newly tooled figures to make sure that lots of new figures come out each year. The second thing I would do is reintroduce creatures and like mini rigs like the Ewok catapult and things like that, 2-packs, all those kind of good stuff that we love to supplement the carded figures and vehicles. And the third thing that I would do is make sure that all new characters are ready for when new media drops. So when the Book of Boba Fett drops, we've at least got 1 wave of figures for when that drops. Doug North says, with their Vault vote, are you frustrated as I am that they don't release these as a wave? This kind of wave is what I think of a smart repack. Yeah, absolutely. As I just mentioned, they should just be releasing them all. It's a little bit frustrating them making us choose between, 4 or 5 really, really good characters that are expensive on the secondary market. And we're going to make our feelings known to Hasbro that basically these are the sorts of things that are smart repacks. And as collectors, not new collectors, we're not really bothered about your Anakins and your Padmes from that repack wave. We want, the harder to obtain ones that are so expensive on the secondary market. Pesto Pizza 2001 says, hello, question for next week. I'm still baffled by why we didn't get the retro line for the Return of the Jedi this year. Do you think it will happen next year, or will Hasbro wait for an anniversary of 2023? So if you didn't already know, we had the Mandalorian wave this year, and I did a review of the whole wave just the other day. Here's just a few of them here. I love them. I think they're fantastic. But the rumour that I heard is that there was actually going to be 2 waves of retro collection this year. Possibly the other wave could be the Return of the Jedi. I can't confirm that. That sort of rumour's gone a little bit cold. Maybe they'll wait till next year to do another wave of retro collection. I do not know. But yeah, it would have been nice to have some Return of the Jedi ones. Will they wait till 2023 for the anniversary? I don't think so. I think we'll probably get them before that. Joe Eversole says, if a Bossk figure were to be made for the vintage collection, what would you like to see upgraded from the vintage saga version, if anything? I've said this quite a lot before, that this figure is almost perfect. It's a fantastic sculpt. I really, really love it. It's easily the best Bossk in this scale. I guess if they could update it, I think maybe they could give it, ball jointed hips. That could probably help it, and maybe a hinge at the wrist here would be advantageous as well. Apart from that, I don't really see too much that you can do with this figure. It's a great figure. Chief Chirpers has another great video, BB, very excited about the upcoming 4-pack. If you could choose 4 figures for it, what would they be? I'm wondering if this could be similar to the Rogue One series Jedi Revolt pack, as they did mention the film's 5th year anniversary in a previous Hasbro Pulse video. That's an interesting one, actually. I didn't actually think of that. That could be interesting. If I was going to pick 4 figures from it, I would probably pick maybe either 4 Cantina Aliens or 4 Skiff Guards. You could do Weequay Window, as I mentioned before, Velkan Tazeri, the other Skiff Guard, and Barada. Perhaps there's 4 instantly that you could do in a 4-pack. Also, if you think about it, I think there's 4 from the team of the Prison Break episode in The Mandalorian. That would be pretty cool. Bill Burr's character, the droid. That'd be pretty awesome as well. Apeg3 says, do you like the collector coins? I think you mean the ones from the 30th anniversary. I don't really collect those myself, but my son does. He loves them. And he has, well, I couldn't tell you how many of them he's got, but he's got a fair few of them. Frank Tetty says, great video. Super excited for the new vintage collection releases. Getting closer to completing the 96. Question for Sunday. Do you think Hasbro is trying to re-release very expensive figures to help collectors attain what is now almost unattainable? AK very expensive figures like Ahsoka, Starkiller and Weequay are all topping over $200 on the open market. Would love to know your opinion. PS, hoping for Weequay. Team Weequay. Yes, I think on this occasion they have looked at the secondary market. When they do those repack waves for the new collectors, I don't think they look at the secondary market. They just look at what they think makes sense for releasing like main characters and things like that. This blatantly looks like they've looked at the secondary market, look at which figures command a high price, and then have given us the vote between them. And as I said before, it's a bit unfortunate that we just can't have all of them in a wave. Boba Fett says, Boba Fett or Jango Fett? My man Boba Fett, every time. Neil Lowry says, hi Tim, love the channel, love the content. Thank you so much, Neil. Appreciate that, my friend. Something I've been wondering about, and if you've spoken to anyone about this within your inner circles, how do you feel about the High Republic books, and would you be compelled to buy figures from these stories if carded? Thanks, Neil. I've got to be honest, I haven't really read any of the new High Republic books or comics, if there is comics. I'm not a massive reader of books. I do prefer figures to come from the films initially, and then of course TV shows, and then maybe the computer games. I think book characters would probably be my last in my list, I wouldn't really even be able to tell you any of the characters, so I can't comment on that, unfortunately. Daniel Chart 99 says, great episode, Tim. Here's a question for next week. If you ran a competition to come up with a name for your channel and a fellow YouTuber gave you the best one, would you take the credit for it? No comment. Jedi Joey 1989 says, hey boss, question for next week. Why has the vintage collection prices skyrocketed in the secondary market, eBay mainly? I've been a collector in both lines, 6-inch, 3.75, but lately my focus has been the vintage collection. What made these figures jump in price? Even the less popular figures have gone up as well. Just trying to figure what caused this. PS, love the work, Vids channel. Thank you, Jedi Joey. I don't think it's exclusive to the vintage collection. I think if you look at anything from trading cards to comics, you know, vintage figures, modern figures, I think everything has had a price increase. The value of things have gone up, and I think it's got to be down to the pandemic. Essentially, people have got a bit more time on their hands. They've joined the hobby for something to do. They've got a bit more disposable income. They're not spending it on holidays, they're not spending it on petrol, and I just think collectibles in general, because of that, have gone up in value. Maybe when the world gets back to normal, things will settle down a bit. Who knows? Let's hope so, because I still need to complete my loose vintage run. So I'm praying that those last 17 figures at least come down in price. Obi-Ban Kenobi says, question for next week. With Andor and Obi-Wan series taking place during Imperial times, do you think Hasbro will use the re-release waves to bring back army builders like the Sandtrooper VC-14 or VC-112, or a new one based on the VC-140 mould, and the VC-94 Imperial Navy Commander, maybe with the Imperial logo fixed on the shoulder? Yeah, I think the current Sandtrooper that we have, or the most recent Sandtrooper, which was VC-112, is very similar to this one, except that it has the orange pauldron, exactly the same sculpt and everything. So this one is possibly the most recent, along with VC-112. I personally think that they could use VC-140 to create a brand new Sandtrooper, all nicely weathered up. That would be pretty cool. It's got to be said, you know, the helmet on these ones is ever so slightly dated these days now. You know, the new helmet on those Stormtroopers is fantastic. So I'm hoping they'll do a new one. And yeah, it's entirely possible that there will be Stormtroopers within those programs that you mentioned. Sandtroopers, especially if it's on Tatooine. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a new Sandtrooper. That'd be pretty cool. Joe Uriah says, great content as always, Bossk man. Question for next week. Top 3 vehicles you would like to see done for the vintage collection, and which would you like to see made that has never been made? Thanks for all you do, Tim. Cheers, bro. Top 3 vehicles for the vintage collection. Darth Vader's TIE Fighter is definitely one of them. Speeder Bike is another. I would probably say the A-Wing's pretty important. And one that's never been done before, okay, it has been done before in terms of the 5POA line, but I would love to see the U-Wing. And obviously we've just got the news of General Merrick and his X-Wing, so it'd be really cool if we had the U-Wing for the rest of the Rogue One gang. The Viking says, Bossk, I have a question for next week. Do you think that Hasbro is going to show a little love with the vintage collection in comparison to the Black Series and all the fantastic figures they are making in 6-inch, like Darkside Rey, a different Luke in that black outfit, etc.? I think what's clear from the FanFest is that the Black Series didn't really get too much. They only got the pipeline figures that they already knew about. They just got to see them, so they didn't really get anything that's essentially that they hadn't seen before or knew of before. I think the vintage collection won the day, although everything was pretty much either a repaint or a repack. Essentially, we had that repack wave and all the repaints in the Gaming Greats, but I actually really like the Gaming Greats figures. I think they look great. The card backs look brilliant, and of course we've got the blue X-Wing, which we've all been shouting for. It is a bit of a shame that it's going to have the same mechanism of the Luke X-Wing one, which is a bit ropey, but it looks fantastic. And of course we've got General Merrick now, so that's great news. So I think the vintage collection was shown a bit more love than the Black Series this time, albeit we didn't get anything that's actually new, you know, new tooling, which is a bit unfortunate. Glandular Slaughter says, question for next week. If Hasbro decides to end the age of the carded bubble, will my Rogue One and Force Awakens figures appreciate beyond the point when they were in the bargain bin at Toy Masters? They may appreciate beyond that, but I don't think they'll ever go above retail. I mean, you'll be waiting 50, 60 years for that. There was so many of those produced. So no, my friend, I don't think they will. Alright then guys, that's it for this week. Don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section below for next week's video. Drop a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you on the next one.